All right, time to work through chapter 7. We're going to go back to solving equations, but this time we're going to solve equations with variables on both sides. We're going to solve equations with a distributive property, and then we're going to get into inequalities. So here we go, 7.1. Solving equations. So basically, what you want to do is you want to still isolate the variable, no different than when we were solving equations before. If you remember your two-step equations. You need to show all these steps. Please don't try to skip them. They will make you stronger as equations get more challenging. So remember, you have a left and a right side in an equation, and whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So first thing I want you to notice is I need to isolate the variable. Well, the variable's like all spread out. It's on the left and it's on the right. It needs to be on one side. So I have a variable x constant and a variable x. It does not matter which side you put it on. But if you already have it by itself over here, then why won't you just go ahead and move that 5x, knowing the only way you can move something is with the additive inverse. So I'm going to go ahead and additive inverse to both sides like that. So I just picked it up and moved it over here because 5 and negative 5. This is going to cancel out to make your 0 because that's what additive inverse makes is 0. Then I'm going to go ahead and get 12 is equal to negative 3x. Now it's just a one-step equation. We'll go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3, the coefficient, because it's multiplication, undo with division. This becomes 1, and I'm left with x is equal to negative 4, and that's our solution. It's not that much harder, just requires a little bit more effort to kind of clean things up right here and shift things to be on the correct side before you can get your solution. And then you go ahead and check it back into the original problem. 5 times negative 4 is equal to negative 20, plus 12 is equal to negative 8. 2 times negative 4 is equal to negative 8. So both sides are equal, and if both sides are equal, then you know that it's a true equation and you solved it correctly. So it just requires a lot of paper. So you'll need to use a lot of paper in your notebook. I would spread it out. Make sure you don't try to just squeeze it into one little area. Check. And then we do it again. So same thing. I look at this and I can see the variable's already by itself over here. So why not do additive inverse and move it over here to one side? And then I have 2x is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 3. That's your solution. And then go ahead and check it back into the original. 7 times 3, so I get 21 on this side. And then 5 times 3 is 15, plus 6, 21. So it checks. Pretty easy. Mindless math, I always like that. All right, now I have it on both sides. So again, completely up to you. I always try to avoid negatives whenever possible. So I'm going to go ahead and move this x over here to the right side, so that it's gathered on the right side like that, and I get 5x plus 3 equals 23, because remember, this was additive inverse, makes 0. And then move your constant over here. Move it by adding opposite, and I have 5x is equal to 20. Divide both sides by the coefficient, and x is equal to 4. It's not hard, just a little time consuming, but you know what? Start to time yourself and see how fast you can go. So 7 times 4 is 28. 28 plus 3 is 31. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 plus 23 is 31. Checks. So figure on using 1, 2, 3, well, original problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. Ooh, 10 lines. I would say 10 lines each time. That way, you know, you've got enough room and you can see what you're doing. I just gotta move that. Okay. Sun's out today, so it's a little different. Just because there's a decimal doesn't mean anything. Go ahead and just work with those decimals. If you don't like the decimal, there's one place on each decimal you could multiply through by 10. But let's just wait and just start to work with decimals. Don't be so afraid of them. So I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to look at this and go, yeah, I think I'm going to move my variable to the left so I can avoid negative number there. It's not always going to work out like that. So I have 1 7/10 is equal to 1 5/10 A plus negative 4 9/10. Go ahead and additive inverse your constant over to the other side like this. Once you do that, you're going to put together that 1 7/10 plus 4 9/10 to get your 6 6/10. I lost track of my mouse there. 6 6/10 is equal to 1 5/10 A. Now this is the spot where I would go ahead and multiply through by 10 in order to move that decimal one place to the right out of the way. So then I would have 66 equals 15A. And then I go ahead and divide both sides by 15. Here and here. And A is going to equal to 4 4/10. And then you go ahead and do your whole check step. Okay? So just because it's a decimal, don't make it hard. Remember, there's a way to get rid of the decimal if you multiply everything through by 10 in this instant because there's only one place movement. If I had this, how do I get rid of the decimal there? Well, multiply by 100. Because multiplying by 100 would cause me to move that 2 places and it would be 223, okay? So however many places you have to move it tells you how many zeros to put on. And then you go ahead and try and solve each one of these and I'll show you the solutions. So this one, x is equal to -3, and this one, x is equal to 1 2/10. It's not that hard. So this one, I would move this. Well, this one you're going to end up with negative no matter what. It doesn't matter. And I have 2x plus 15 is equal to -7. And then I'm going to do -15 to both sides. And get 2x is equal to 22 negative. Divide both sides by 2. And that's where x is equal to -11. And of course, check it. Now this one, go ahead and work with the decimal first and then decide if you need to multiply through to get your solution of 1 2/10. Okay, a car rental agency has 2 plans. Under plan A, a car rents for $80 plus $20 each day. Plan B rents for $120 plus $15 each day. At what point will they cost the same? Well, we set them equal to each other and we start to solve. So you got -15D here, bring it on over here. You end up with that's how's that 5 going for me there? 5D, 80 plus 5D equals 120. Go ahead and add a -80 to both sides. Once you do 120 minus 80, you're going to get 5D is equal to 40. Divide both sides by 5. And on day 8, it'll be the same cost. It's a whole long thing that we're going to go through. Yeah. And then you do it again. This is the same kind of problem where it's going to be 20. It'll be 20 plus 35 cents per minute is equal to 35 plus 15 cents per minute. And then go through your process. I wouldn't change your decimals until the end. So do negative 15 cents to both sides here. And then you'll have 20 plus 20m is equal to 35. Negative 20 from here, put it over here. And I have 20m is equal to 15. Hello. Divide both sides by, well, actually I would multiply through by 100. Why 100? Because there's 2 places I need to move it. Actually, there's only 1 place because there's a 0 there. So multiplying through by 10 would be fine. So let's just do 10. So if you multiply through by 10, you move that decimal 1 place and you would just have 2. So you wouldn't have the 0, you would just have a 2. And you're going to go ahead and then divide this. You'd have to add a 0 there. And then you divide that by 2. 150 divided by 2 is 75 minutes. Why did I multiply through by 10? So I can move that decimal 1 place. That 0 behind it doesn't make a difference. And that's it for 7.1. Good luck. Use lots of paper.